This program is produced by Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
I'm going on record right now, I've never had a harebrained idea.
He's had lots of ideas that have hair on them.
Did you just say I've had lots of ideas with hair on them?
Yes. Okay.
Oh my goodness. What?
The devil?
I found him.
Why am I not surprised that he's in here?
He's over here in this bucket. There he is. Mr. Sin! Not bothering us anymore.
How are you doing there, Foxy?
Such a beef wit.
Do you know who you're talking to? I'm Mr. Sin. You can't talk to me like that. You don't have to be rude.
I said beef wit.
Beef wit, that's even worse. No, I'm not a fan of that, but I am a fan of finding out what you're doing after this show. Maybe we could go grab some drinks or something. What do you say?
No thanks.
Hey everyone, welcome to Together We Build. My name is Chris Behnke, and I'm here with Prudence O'Haire.
Yes.
Prudence? Who else do we have on the set with us?
Just Bucklington.
Bucklington. He wants to wear the glasses. He's actually a pro driver.
I was just telling him that I was grateful that your mom's late dog, Sophie,
Yeah.
used to eat like tissues
And rocks.
and chew on rocks so it would wear down her teeth. She was a retriever,
A crazy dog.
a golden retriever.
An absolute nutcase.
And so all of her life, she would, like, if she'd come across this on the floor, she would eat it, inhale it. And Buckley doesn't do that.
You were telling Buckley that you appreciate
I appreciate his ability to restrain himself from eating tissues randomly.
That's weird.
And also chewing on rocks. But however, he does have a problem shredding his dog beds.
What, most people don't use the word shred. What does shred mean?
Like it goes through his teeth and gets ripped up.
So he chews up. Most people would say chews up.
Well, I'm not most people.
When I hear the word shred, I think of Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What do you think about that?
Shredder was an annoyance to the turtles.
He was a bad guy. He's
I know.
obviously a bad guy.
I know. I bet you could say do his voice too.
Listen, I'm going to chew up this dog bed. That's just a villain voice.
Yeah.
I think it was a really bad one, actually.
Whenever I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a kid,
Yeah.
whenever they had pizza,
You wanted it.
I wanted it.
Yeah.
I really wanted it, especially when the cheese was like dripping. It's
Yeah, me too. I bet they could quantify. I bet they could quantify an increase in pizza sales during the run of that cartoon show. Mm-hmm. I bet they could. Prudence, let me ask you a question. What would the title of your autobiography be?
I think I might say the title might be "I Didn't See That Coming." What about you?
Oh. I think the title of mine could be "Hold Steady."
Because you're going to have held steady all the way through till you reach your years of autobiography.
I feel like we could make a country song out of that.
We should just write part 1, 2, and 3 of our lives.
Of a country
Like,
song?
lots of people get their books written before they die, but there's still a bunch of stuff that they still have to do.
Yeah.
So it should be like in segments 1, 2, and 3 or something.
100%.
Or 1 and 2 at least.
100%.
My first half of my life. The first half of my life.
Yeah. Do you think ours would be exciting? Would it be considered a romance, a comedy, a tragedy, an adventure? Wait, is that all the types? What other genres are there?
Drama. Mystery.
Wait, what? So our production team says comedy. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, some of it is funny and some of it is just traumatizing.
Yeah, trauma. It's a tragedy.
So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to the trivia. So we did accidentally lose some podcasts. So I'm just going to do a quick review because these people haven't seen these questions. You've already been asked these. So if you don't get 100%, I'm going to be severely disappointed. Ready? Okay, so the first one is, what item do toucans toss back and forth using their beaks during their mating ritual?
Let me think. It's not a beach ball. It's definitely not.
You're supposed
A
to know
beanbag.
this. We just told everybody.
It's a piece of fruit.
Okay, it's a piece of fruit.
Piece of fruit.
Piece
They
of fruit.
toss
Congratulations.
a piece of fruit back
Which
and forth
animal
to
has the
themselves.
strongest sense of smell? You see, you better
Yeah,
get
cameraman, you're not going to believe this. He would not be able to guess this. I originally thought it was something like this furry creature here, but
he's a
it
good
wasn't. It was an elephant.
An African elephant.
So
Okay.
the sheriff departments now need to put elephants in their rigs, not dogs, to sniff out
You
what they
imagine the
need to
dude,
sniff out.
instead of rolling up with the Ford Explorer that
I
says
mean-
K9 on the side, he rolls up with a moving truck
Well,
and an elephant
this would
backs
just be
down
funny
and
in
he's
like cartoons, you know?
find the meth there, Squeaky.
Or
And this
the bad
elephant's-
guy. Here's the bad guy's cap. Go find him. And then they're just, trompsing off, and then they
Through
collect them with their
downtown
trunk.
Portland, these elephants are running through, and they're grabbing them with their trunk and holding them. That is definitely sounds like a cartoon. Okay, what possession do otters hold on to their entire lives?
Yeah, this was a difficult one for me.
Yeah, I bet.
It's actually a pebble.
A pebble.
So in human form, we give each other a pebble in the form of a diamond when we want to get engaged
I
to
mean,
somebody.
I didn't get a diamond, so I don't know if we give
but
each other.
the males give the females. Isn't that what the otters do? The males give the females?
What I read, now I have not fact checked this, but what I read from the trivia site was that the male otters give the female otters a pebble as kind of like a mating engagement marriage.
It's a little token
ring.
of their love.
And they keep it.
And they keep it. They keep it on their little pond shelf with other pebbles that they've collected. And somehow they know the difference between it. That's really strange.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they keep it. I don't know how they keep track of it. They put it in a little jewelry box or something, and they have that next to the fish or whatever. I have no idea.
Their little
Okay, so
coat
those
pocket.
those are all the ones that you already got. So hopefully you got all those
Yeah.
right, and you did. Okay, so now let's go on to some that you have not had. I'm just checking to make sure. Okay. By the way, otters giving the girl otter a pebble and she keeps it her whole life is super cool. Just so you know. If only humans were as dedicated as otters.
I keep stuff, and sometimes you don't like it that I keep it.
Yep. Perfect. So, you ready for the... Okay, here you go. What sea creature can be broken into 5 pieces and still survive?
It's a sea worm. A starfish.
A starfish, correct. Nice job. Let me just lower this down. Boom, 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 boom. Is that the right button there, sir? Because I can't hear it. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Congratulations. So far, you're getting 100%. Okay. Okay, sea creature, starfish, right. So here's the thing. I wonder if that's like traumatic for them. It's like getting ripped in half.
I'm sure it is.
Sounds horrible.
I'm sure it is.
What's the main way cats show they trust someone?
By rubbing up against them. Licking them. Purring. Biting them.
By headbutting them.
Okay, rubbing up against them, that qualifies.
Can we get a judgment on this? Does that qualify?
Yeah.
The answer is headbutting. You got boop, boop, boop. You got destroyed. Okay.
When they rub up against us, they are actually spreading their scent on you. They're
that's-
claiming you. It's kind of like peeing on you.
That's straight up nasty.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cute.
Okay, this is bizarre. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What animal can only eat when its head is upside down?
Oh, a sloth. Was it a sloth? The head upside down. Are you trying to give me a hint?
No.
Okay.
I had high hopes.
Is it a water creature?
I had high hopes, and no.
High hopes. Upside down.
This animal eats water creatures often, though.
Is it an otter?
Do you think otters have
a
to be
seal.
upside down to eat? Or a seal? Think about this. Now you're just naming things that eat water creatures. It's a flamingo.
Oh, a
They
flamingo.
turn their head around and they...
Oh, I never knew that. That's new to me.
Yeah, I think you didn't know any of these. Okay, so I'm going to give you 100% credit because you tried hard. It's a participation
That
trophy.
is lame.
It's a participation
We do
trophy.
not practice mediocrity here. Lame.
All right, let's jump into the actual... Wait, do you have any words to teach me or anything?
No, I don't have the book.
Okay, fine. Let's go to the topic. Tell everybody what we're going after today.
All right. Today's topic, which you probably have already seen in the show title, so it's not a surprise, is the word restoration.
Yes. Restoration.
Restoration.
Okay.
So restoration means the act of restoring, recovering, rebuilding, revival, rehabilitation, reformation, healing, return, and remaking. So one of the things that about this particular thing is that us humans really love to restore vintage things.
Yeah.
Like antiques and old cars. So just last weekend, I drove past this car show that was happening up the road, and it was really hopping, and all of the colorful old cars and hoods up. And
How hopping? Like hundreds of people?
yeah, probably.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah. And that is...
Did you stop and get a RC Cola and a hot dog?
No.
That's literally the meal of a car show, though.
No.
Just so you know.
I did not go into it. I just drove by it. But we love to restore things, even just historical houses or buildings, works of art, painting in the museums. They restore them.
Mm-hmm.
And even like videos of old where they were like black and white, and where we call it restoring it, but it's actually comes into color. It's amazing how they do that.
Yeah.
But the one thing about restoring or restoration is that is never really an exact of what it used to be.
You mean it's never, even if you restore something like let's say a car, right? You restore it like exactly. It's not actually exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a rebuilding. It's a revival. It's a rehabilitation. It's a remaking. That's what restoration means. So we're just trying to, put it back to very much the original state. Now, when we talk about restoration in the form of like our spirituality, I don't think I said that word very well. Spirituality.
It's a new accent. Prudence is dropping a new accent on us.
I think that God has the ability to restore us to our original place because he's God and he does supernatural things like that. But as far as like material possessions and such, we can only get it to a certain certain place of original
So
of
you're
what
saying
it used to be.
You're saying we can and should and make an effort, but it's never
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So as I was kind of studying this subject, I came across this 4 R's of restoration, and it was on somebody's website. I'm not even sure that they knew where they found it. Otherwise, I probably would have quoted it. But
What kind of weirdo stuff are you bringing into this thing?
anyways, so the 4 R's of restoration, according to this one place, I didn't invent this, was the first one was replace. And this is in Ezekiel 36:26. He will replace our hearts of stone. So in restoration, we are replacing. We're replacing the parts that are broken.
Yeah.
And adding the new to make it work again.
Yeah.
So he will replace our hearts of stone. And I think that a lot of us have hearts of stone
Yeah.
that need replaced with something that is soft and pliable and can be vulnerable. Hearts of stone can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're full of pride and arrogance and deception and everything else that is unpleasant. It cannot, the Lord just cannot penetrate
Right.
through it. So, the second R of restoration is renew in Romans 12:2. We become renewed in our minds. So as we are young and are going through stuff, a lot of times we get traumatized or abused or are learning beliefs about things that we shouldn't be believing. So we're constantly being bombarded to be a part of the devil's team. And we need renewed minds. So when you become baptized, that doesn't just come with a renewed mind. We have to actively get that. And sometimes it's daily.
So I just want to make sure everyone understands. So when you say renewed mind, you're not talking about salvation.
Right.
So we have to separate that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times the church has a kind of a weird understanding that like salvation is it.
Right.
But if we
we got them baptized,
we
and
got
that's it.
dunked 'em,
We're done.
We put a sticker on the side of our car. But if you step back for a second and you say, well, why did God create man in the first place? And that was to have a relationship with us. Then obviously salvation is not the end goal.
Right.
Like he wants to develop a friendship with us, a relationship with us.
Yeah.
So that's the starting point, the foundation, the base of the hill. Mm-hmm. But we're supposed to go up the hill.
Yep. And in order to go up the hill, we have to have renewed minds.
Yeah.
That is where our battleground is in the spiritual side of things, in our mental. Right up here is where our battle is happening all the time.
Yeah. It's not against flesh and blood.
Right. Okay. So replace. He'll replace our hearts of stone. He'll renew us. We become renewed in our minds. And the third one is revive. Romans 6:4. We are raised from the dead and walking in a newness of life. That's talking about coming away from sin. You know, that's really beginning a whole new life with a different direction.
Yeah.
And the fourth is return. Romans 5:10. Reconciliation through the perfect sacrifice of Jesus.
Wow.
And I think that all 4 of these words here are definitely a part of restoration: replacing, renewing, reviving, and returning.
Yeah.
So, I think that many of us that are believers, you know, we come through that standard first piece of coming into a belief, a fresh belief about the Lord, and we get ourselves saved, you know. But the problem is that there is not a large understanding that is really just the beginning of things. That the restoration process is a process. It takes time. All through our life, we're being restored. We're walking through restoration. And I think that there's lots of checkpoints that we go through in our lives if we are actively living for the Lord, the way in a life of surrender and obedience. There's different checkpoints that we make it through. And just like perhaps like a material item, you might first restore its wood on maybe a chair, and then you're going to maybe replace the springs, and then also the material on it. Yeah. Until you get it to a point where it's like it's pretty good working order. Right. So, you know, in humans. And in the world of us humans, we tend to think that that there isn't really any work on our behalf, like that the Lord is just going to come in and do everything. Right. And, you know, he's just kind of like, put your hands up, everyone. This is it. You know, this is it. And it's really, it's about us being in partnership with him. Yeah. To come into points of restoration. He doesn't. So, Bobby Hobby, our senior leader here, talks a lot about the Lord doesn't want to do things for us. He wants to do things with us. Yeah. Yeah. So good. This point of restoration is about it's a cooperation of both the Lord and us working together, to get us to a point of restoration. And that is what he's asked us to do. That's what he's called us to do. He hasn't said, okay, everybody get your ticket to heaven and then just sit in your nasty habits, your bad beliefs, your sin. On your rapture rugs. Okay. Yeah, on your rapture rugs, and just, you know, hold tight because you've got your ticket to heaven and that this is as good as it gets. Yeah. That is not what he asked us to do.
I think it's important to, you know, if you look at Scripture, you see virtually, I think there might be no examples where God didn't choose to partner with one of his people. So from a theological standpoint, we got to understand, while it's true, God doesn't need anything. He doesn't actually need anything. Obviously, he doesn't need anything. He spoke the universe into existence with some words. So he doesn't need anything, but he chose to create us in a way where he made us for a purpose, on purpose, and he wants us to partner with him. So he actually, even though he doesn't need to, he chooses to always partner with his people. That means, in a sense, if you can understand my meaning without taking it out of context, he doesn't need us, but he needs us. Like he made us to partner with him. Right. And that's
well, he
really
made us
important.
To be conduits of his power.
Right.
On this earth, so that we can be effective for the kingdom of God. And we can't be conduits if we're not a conduit.
Exactly.
So how do you get to be into a position where you're a conduit? Yeah. And I think that lots of people, we miss this part, because this part, I mean, like we talk about all the time, it's like, well, if the devil can't prevent your salvation, he's going to derail your calling. He's going to derail your restoration process and your healing process so that you will be the least effective as possible. Yeah. So he's going to make the devil and the devils, because there's devils, is going to present to you the lie that your misery, your trauma, your pain, your depression, your anxiety, your ADHD, your health problems, like everything, all the pain and turmoil that we all go through is normal.
Yep.
That you're only a sinner saved by grace. That
Yep.
you can do
Worm,
nothing more. That
depravity theology.
you are a loser, and this gift from God, ticket to heaven, is it.
And you better hope it's still valid when you get to the pearly gates.
But it is not supposed to be normal for God's people.
Right.
We were not called to walk it like this.
So let's transition, Prudence, in the 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes that we have left. What is it supposed to look like from a standpoint of restoration? Like, what is the way that it's supposed to be? Like, what's the right model?
Well, the right model is to realize that we are meant to be lighthouses on hills. We're meant to be demonstrations of the miracles and the hope that the Lord is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
We are like, who wants what you have?
Right.
If all you're doing is wallowing in a pit of miry mud.
Yeah, if your life,
who wants that? Why
your life
would I
sucks,
want to sign up for your Jesus?
Yeah, if your life sucks and your theology is one that you're a worthless piece of trash and your God has no power, I feel like that's not a very effective evangelism strategy to get people to want to serve a God
no, it's
that's
not.
supposed to be infinitely powerful.
I think that there are reasons and excuses that we human beings come up with for why we shouldn't walk down the road of restoration. I think a lot of us don't fully believe that God sees what we are doing, how we're living.
He's just too busy.
There is no accountability
he's just
for
too
us.
busy. He doesn't care.
And he isn't real enough to us to believe and to change our ways. Like there's no thirst for the deeper things of the Lord.
Right.
So also, we think that God will just forgive us and allow us to indulge in our lack of self-control and living just no different than a person of the world would.
Right.
Okay, so it's never-ending grace. It's grace abuse.
Right. And the reality is, it is never-ending grace. This is why it's so important that people understand this so that they're not taking advantage of God.
Well, right, because that's where it swings around to our own responsibility of our hearts.
Right.
Like, who do we think we're fooling?
Well, if we think we're fooling God, we're not super bright, right? I'm just saying.
Well, or we're just busy making excuses for it, It's not reality to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think our message really largely in our family of believers is, look, if you've decided to admit to, hey, I've been in this sin, or whatever the case is, or perhaps you're realizing, wow, I've been living my entire life and I'm realizing that I'm not supposed to have all of these nasty beliefs about myself. I'm not supposed to be in addictions. Mm-hmm. Like all of these things, the chains of trauma and abuse and.
So I think you need to press into that a little bit, because this kind of ties into this, and I think we have enough time to go here. But really, this ties into this idea of, hey, look. I'm just a sinner saved by grace. I'm always going to be a sinner. I'm going to constantly be falling. And man, I'm so glad that Jesus, is going to rescue me again. And that literally leads people into this, what you are calling grace abuse. And how does that reconcile with verses that say things like, when Jesus said things like, go and sin no more? Like, how does that work? Like, what are you saying with regards to restoration?
I'm saying that we need to understand that we're not, we're intended to do more than just wait for the Lord to take us home. And in order to do more, we have to get rid of what's holding us back, what's holding us down. Now, Scripture is packed with places telling us like how we should behave or whatever the case is. But how do you get there? Like, I just try, and I just can't do it.
How do you get where? How do you get to the restoration?
How do you get to those good behavior, the fruits of the Spirit that are there?
Great question.
You know, who's telling us how we get there? We're just told how to be. And then you come away from your Sunday service. Yeah, I should be better. Yeah. But what are the tools? What is the ways to get there to a point where you're not trying, you're actually living it.
Yeah.
And you're living it because you want to.
Are you asking me or do you have an answer?
Well, I mean, we're having a conversation about this.
Yeah, I mean, here's the first thing I think is the most important thing. Well, I don't know if it's the most important thing. This is a very one of the most first things is you have to change the mindset. So we talk about here at Eagle Mountain, we talk a lot about this concept of programming your reticular activating system, your RAS in your brain. That's the part of your brain that is looking for patterns, looking for things. It's like you say, hey, I'm going to make pancakes, and you kind of have a recipe kind of memorized. And let's say that includes flour and water and eggs or whatever. And your RAS is kind of programmed, okay, well, I need flour, eggs, and water, and it's like looking for it. So if we're programming our brain, if we're programming our RAS with the data of, I'm just a filthy sinner, I'm just a filthy sinner, I'm just a filthy sinner, then your brain its job is to go create the environment that you're programming it with and create and look for and find opportunities to become just a filthy sinner.
Right. So
one of the most important things we need to do is to change our mind. This is what he was talking about in the Renew Your Mind R. So when we're talking about renewing our minds, we're talking about shifting the way that we think about the world around us from I'm just a dirty sinner to I'm seated next to Christ in heavenly places.
Right. Yeah.
That's a really different
Or the fact that we are adopted sons and daughters.
We're adopted sons and daughters.
We're royalty. We're a royal priesthood.
Is it fit for royalty to think of themselves in wretched, dirty sinner?
No, it isn't.
Right.
It isn't. And
so
that
what we're not
mindset
saying
needs
is
to change.
that people are perfect.
Right.
And that we're not saying that.
Or that you will never screw up.
Yeah, it's about having the right mindset. It's kind of like when my son was younger and he was playing soccer, he was on a team that pretty much never won. They won sometimes. And, I used to tell him, look, when you come to me and say, hey, there's no way we're going to win, I know for sure there's no way you're going to win. Now, if you come to me and say, hey, we are for sure going to win, you might not win. You're going up a team that's technically better than you, but you definitely have a chance more than if you go into the match saying for sure you're going to lose.
Yeah. Yep. I think that it's important to note this because I think a lot of us try to get self-help in a lot of various ways. And one thing that is the Christian world and the church needs to be careful of is a lot of new age practices.
Yeah.
That are not okay. And what we talk about a lot of new age stuff a lot on this show. And as I learn more and more about new things and new things about the Lord, a lot of things was the Lord's invention, but it's being channeled through wrong ways of doing things. So it can be very, very confusing. Yes. So I think that we just need to be reminded that Jesus is the only one capable of bringing complete and perfect restoration. It isn't Reiki. It's not yoga, New Age meditation, not the Course of Miracles, crystals and spells, incantations, or tarot cards.
What about gender changes and stuff?
No, doesn't work. Not years and years of counseling and self-help books either. We can sit there, spend thousands of dollars paying a counselor to hear us whine and complain when actually the answer all along has been to wipe the slate clean with the deliverance ministry, which isn't freaky. It's not scary. It's a process of getting rid of things and closing the doors that you've opened in your life. It's not a scary thing like Hollywood would make it. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
It's about setting that foundation so you can build upon it on a firm foundation.
Yeah.
But, the people called the church, which is us.
Yeah.
We have to start the process of full restoration and everything it includes. And we have to see that the idea of free salvation isn't really free.
Right.
This is an exchange.
Totally.
This is an exchange for your servanthood and life.
Well, let's clarify something, because I think, a lot of people are going to freak out. So salvation is free. Like, it is a free gift. The development of the relationship with the Lord, which is the purpose of the salvation, is to restore you back into what God originally intended and create an opportunity for you to develop a relationship for all of eternity with God. So, like, what Jesus does is free, but that doesn't mean that there's not a cost to living the way the Lord has created you to live. So what I mean by that is, like, what we believe is that every single person was created on purpose for a purpose before the foundations of the earth. In other words, God designed you on purpose for an assignment that he had that fits in with what he's trying to do, to bring heaven to earth. And so he created you for that reason. And salvation, being a free gift, doesn't mean that that's not hard work. The reason you're here.
Yeah.
And so this restoration part should be a foundation. It's like we always say, salvation is like you're at the base of the mountain, and now you want to ascend the mountain in this all developing, ever maturing relationship with God. And if you're not doing that, then you have to kind of ask yourself, like, well, do you really believe the things that you claim to believe? Because if you do, then why wouldn't you be ascending this, developing this, maturing this relationship with the Lord? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up. But I just really feel like, there's so much more to just getting baptized in water. That's your start. And there needs to be a change, a mindset change of what we are supposed to look like as the bride of Christ.
Yeah.
And it needs to be different than what's out there in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, like, let's say heaven is Disneyland, and you're like, hey, so what we're going to do is I'm going to buy a ticket to Disneyland. And this is what God's doing, and I'm going to give it to you. So now you got a ticket to Disneyland. And then all you do is care about that you got in. But then you spend, and you get to go in, 20 years from now. But between now and then, all you're doing is caring that you got into Disneyland. You're not developing a relationship with the Father that gave you the ticket in the first place. And he's like, hey, you want to do something? You want to go higher? You want to develop a deeper relationship? You want to come up the mountain into my presence? And you're like, no, but let me just tell you, I'm super grateful that I have this ticket. And that's all. It's like, no one would do that. That's weird. But that's kind of what we're doing. when we don't take the process of restoration seriously. And you got to understand, that's God's model. He sent Jesus to earth to restore back what Adam and Eve botched up. His model, Jesus' model, was a model of restoration.
Yeah.
So that should be the way we approach everything.
So let's not just restore our historical house and chair
And car.
Let's look at restoring ourselves
I love that.
spiritually,
Yeah, it's so good.
because we don't get to go higher until that element is completed, or
That's so
at
good.
least well into the process of.
It's so awesome. Prudence, thank you so much. You guys, thank you for joining us today on Together We Build. A couple things you got to know about. First of all, if you go to chrisandprudence.com and there's a shop page there, and if you click on that, there's some sweet merch, right? We got all kinds of amazing stuff. Plus, Prudence's book and her books and her music stuff's there. So check that out. You got to go there. Also, this is produced by Eagle Mountain TV. So if you go to eaglemountain.global, you'll find all the other episodes of Together We Build. That's the name of this show. There's also other really awesome programming there. You got to check it out. Go there. You can support this ministry, everything that we're doing. Take some time. Share this out. What do they say, Sawyer? Like, subscribe. Like and subscribe, please. Notifications. Turn your notifications bell on. And with that, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching Together We Build with Chris and Prudence. To learn more about this and other amazing programs, visit eaglemountain.global. To learn more about Chris and Prudence and the ministries they serve, visit chrisandprudence.com.